we got anything else to add before we finish?
Well, unsurprisingly, yes.
Go ahead.
I wonder if we ought, as church leaders, to be revisiting the idea of the evangelistic mission as we go forward. I don't say that in a self-serving way. I just think as a general thing. Evangelistic missions fell out of favour some years ago with the evangelical Christians by and large, although interestingly, scores of students are won for Christ every year through the medium of evangelistic missions in the universities. I think one of the reasons missions were deemed to be no longer worth doing was because they came to be seen as standalone events or silly season events. Gavin Reed, Anglican churchman years ago, put it like this. He said, a mission in the life of a church may be compared to the crew in a boat race putting in a sprint or quickening their rate of stroke. It only makes sense for them to do that if they have been rowing purposefully up until that moment, and if they intend to continue rowing purposefully once the sprint is over. And if we could see evangelistic missions fitting into a sort of ongoing purposeful program of the church, then there may be a real place for them as a reaping opportunity. And I have one final word, if I may, Helen, and it would be to my fellow preachers. And I'm becoming aware of this. The technology we're now dependent on is making it possible for us to communicate with people. That's a wonderful thing. But it does not make it any easier to really connect with people. We can connect with them intellectually, but it makes it harder to connect emotionally with people when we're doing it via Zoom or whatever. And I've been listening recently to a lot more preachers than I normally do, I suppose. And I've noted, quite frankly, that preachers whose default position is dullness actually become even duller when they're preaching remotely. And I think those of us who preach have to make more effort when we're using technology to really reach across and connect. Because when we're all physically present, there's a kind of chemical, organic chemistry and energy between the preacher and the hearer. And when we're physically present, the preacher can pick up on the visual cues which are coming from the congregation if they're bored or if they're restless or if they're disinterested or whatever. You don't get those sort of cues when you're preaching via Zoom or when you put a message on YouTube. And I think those of us who preach need to work harder and do even better what we're doing.
Yeah, good tips. Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've enjoyed speaking to you.
Thank you. God bless you, Helen. God bless you all.
I'll just stop it.